Well, g'day and welcome back. So as we were discussing last time when we were looking in on what we're going to get up to this episode, our main goal for today is to do a little bit of crafting, and we're going to start things off straight away today. The first of the things we're going to do is craft ourselves a construction hammer. Now what that is actually going to allow us to do is to get building. Now we do need to get going also on crafting ourselves an axe and a pickaxe, and we're going to do a little bit of farming in a minute as well. But what I'll do is I'll do that in terms of what I need for our building. So now that we've constructed everything, as I mentioned, we're going to head off now and do a bit of looting in the area. And this is a good indicator right here of one of the things that will happen within your area, and this is a good mechanic to explain here for you. So you'll see here I'm given a prompt if I want to actually dismantle this rock rather than hacking into it and breaking it. One of the mechanics that operates within the game is if you are operating within your building zone, which we mentioned very briefly last time was this orange line here. Anything in terms of changes that you make are actual destructive changes. So that means that that rock, while I have that flame shrine there, is now gone from here permanently. However, in contrast, this rock here, for example, which is outside of my building zone, once I've destructed this rock and collected all of the little rocks here, what happens is that within 30 minutes of game time, I will be able to come back to this section here, and this rock that I've just destructed, and also this tree and everything else that's within the area as well that I am breaking down, will actually reappear in the game. So it's a good little mechanic to sort of be aware of and to get to know as well. So you'll see in contrast to what we were doing the first time around, when we were sort of having to break down items and break down chests and that sort of thing in order to get things like wood and whatnot. You'll notice here that you know, I'm able to pick up a whole lot of stone just from breaking down that one boulder, as opposed to what we were doing previously, which is just going along and picking up one stone. And the same thing here with the wood logs. You'll see I pick up 6 per bunch there. So when we were breaking items down previously, similar to like we're doing here with this rock, we pick up a rock and we get 3 stone. So it makes things a little bit quicker in terms of looting overall. Alright, so now that we've gone ahead and done a little bit of looting in the area, we should have, in general, enough in terms of materials to start our building off. Now, while I'm at it as well, this is actually a good time to mention something I neglected to mention last time. I was trying to cut down on the amount of points that I was making within the first 2 videos that we did in this series, but one of the things you may or may not have noticed when you come to your workbench here, you'll notice my hatchet in the hotbar down the bottom it's had use, and it breaks down eventually and becomes unusable. But what happens is once I interact with the workbench here, you'll hear like a metallic hammer type sound, and what happens is you'll notice now on the hotbar that the axe and the pickaxe have now been repaired. So that's one of the mechanics that I neglected to mention last time, but it was just a little thing. I just wanted to make note of that now in this video. Alright, so now what you need to do in terms of your building is, we mentioned earlier that we are able to construct different blocks. So what I'll do now is, I've got plenty of stone, so I'll just construct a few rough stone blocks and some rough wood blocks, just a few of each. And I'll also make some roof fibre as well. And you can see there that we've now got quite a few. We've got 400 cubes and 300 cubes of the rough wood block and 200 of the plant fiber roof block. Now that is not without, that's done without sort of too much mining and too much destruction of resources, and I've still got tons of stone left. So it gives you an idea that the creation of your blocks for building in this game doesn't cost a lot of resources, and it's not something that is incredibly taxing, and you know, you're not sitting here trying to gather resources forever in order to craft anything. So what I've done now is opened up into our build menu. So we mentioned really briefly when we were touching on building blocks and what the flame building space actually meant. In terms of our building area, we said 40 by 40 by 40. So I go down to building blocks of 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. You'll see I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out to around about there. And if you compare with a block there, that's what we're looking at in terms of how big a building block is. A building block is 8 by 8. So when we're talking about our building radius in terms of 40 by 40 by 40, it means we have 40 out that way, 40 out that way, 40 out that way, 40 out that way. And also, quite curiously, and it may be a little bit interesting for people to actually get used to as well, is you actually have 40 up. So what I can do from here is just build stairs up and up and up. And you'll see I've reached the edge of my building radius here. So if we look down below us, you'll see there's that orange line we mentioned before. So in terms of building, I've got left, right. In terms of building in front of me here, you'll see my character is just going up to the top. The orange line is going through my chest there. Now, not only do you have that, as we were mentioning, to the front, to the side, and also upwards, but you also have it down as well. So if we were to change over to a foundation block, one of the things that we need to also make note of as well is if you build and destroy your blocks, you actually get them back. So you'll see that I used a foundation block there, and I now have 92, but if I destroy it, you see I now have back to 348. But the other thing you'll also notice as well is that we have destroyed and broken down the environment around us. So that's because this game is what's called a voxel based game. It's very similar to a game like Minecraft, for example. It's not a game that I've actually played, but that is it has the same mechanic as that. So what if we were to here start constructing ourselves blocks going downwards, we can actually go down the 40 as well. So we mentioned previously that we had 40 up and 40 down as well. So if you think about that just immediately off the top of your head, you can already, just with the basic setup of your building already, you can create some really cool stuff. So if you wanted to, at the very beginning of the game, you could start to get really creative with what you wanted to get up to. So you could say that you wanted to make a little cave system in here. So you can just go, all right, well, I'm just going to create and make myself a little cave system that goes all the way along here. So you can see there I've already created a little cave, and it's that easy to do. So if you're just thinking, you know, in terms of what you can actually do, you've already been, you know, presented some really cool options. So when I was mentioning at the beginning of this you know, game in terms of what you can actually do, there is a ton of stuff you can do, and it's just limitless. Believe me, there is a crazy amount of stuff you can do. You'll find yourself just having so much fun building. It's just endless amounts of fun, and there's endless variations of things you can come up with For me personally, I love base building games, so as soon as I started playing this, I was just like hooked. So, but you know, yourself, you may not be a base building person, you may enjoy the RPG elements of this, or the open world elements of this, so that's the brilliant thing, as I mentioned already about this, is that if you wanted to just enjoy just the open world aspect of it or the RPG element of it, you can play the game exactly like that and just play it as an open world game or an RPG game and not even concern yourself with building if you wanted to. But as you can see here, like already just messing around and not really doing too much, I've already created half of the house. So what I'll do in the interim as well, I need to get some more plant fibre so I can create some more roof blocks. So what I'll do is do a little bit more looting around the area here. And again, this sort of harks back to what I mentioned earlier about always be looting in the game. Because it's better to have far more resources than nowhere near enough resources. Especially if you just want to, you know, get into the groove and just sort of get creative and, you know, go wild and not have to sort of stop and go, oh no, I've run out of that. You'll see in a moment that we can actually build storage and whatnot as well. But the best thing at the beginning of the game, by far and away, is just loot wherever you can. Go nuts. Just continually loot to your heart's content, and you'll never run out of material when you need it. Alright, so now that we've got a little bit more plant fibre. Alright, so another thing that you may have mentioned as well, you'll see in the bottom left hand side of the screen there's a little thing that says snapping. So this again is a little mechanic that enables you to do some really cool stuff with angles and patterns and whatnot with what you can actually achieve as well. So I'm just, you know, doing some silly stuff here, messing around, and you can see that I've already created a really weird and really interesting looking roof. So there's a ton of different stuff you can do, and look, believe me, the possibilities are absolutely endless with what you can get up to with building this in this game. It's just crazy. Alright, well, we've messed around enough with that there, so what we've done now is we've got a basic roof over our head. In terms of what we need to do now, what I'll do really quickly is just finish the sides of this off. You'll see there's a little stepped wall here which we can complete, and I'm out of stone already. So what I did is I didn't build myself enough rough stone block. Actually, I've got some rough wood block. Why don't we just change materials? This is another thing as well. You'll notice over to my right hand side here, what I can do is go down on my D-pad and change materials. So you can build everything with completely different materials if you choose to. You can mix and match blocks. You can mix and match absolutely everything. It is crazy the variations you can get up to here. Alright, so look, that looks pretty good to me. We've got a basic structure over our head. We've got a little crazy wall there which we can delete at any stage, and as I mentioned before, if you don't like anything you can delete it and you can get your materials back. So what I'll do is I'll delete that, and that'll give me my materials back. And what I'll do is I'll jump up here as well. I'll delete that little section off the top there as well, which is trimmed the roof, as you'll see there. And now we've got a basic little structure in place, so I'm happy with that. Alright, I think we're good.